Hello, hello. Happy solstice. I'm so excited to be here. I've been really looking forward to this chat ever since Jackie and I decided to do this live stream. And so our talk tonight is going to be centered on remembering your galactic origins and tapping into belonging, deep soul belonging and connection to Earth. And so, hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for being here with me. Yeah, do you want to introduce yourself, Jackie?
Yeah, I just remember Urania's like, list all your credentials or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's a laundry list. Like, I don't even know who am I? Who am I at the end of the day? That could be a whole like philosophy in itself. But I am Jackie B. I'm a shamanic soul guide, and I am the founder of Grow with Jackie B LLC, which is all about stepping into our free and fully expressed version of us. I have so many different sides and faces of me, you could say. And a lot of them aren't necessarily all out in the public eye. It's so funny. I hear this all the time when I have clients or things. They're like, "Oh, I didn't even know that you like did that." Like you are like a wealth of like knowledge and wisdom and tool sets that I didn't even know. Like I was drawn because of this. I came because of gene key, like you knew gene keys or your approach on this. And like now I find all these other little juicy things. And I was laughing because even with this, like Urania's like, oh, I can collaborate with you when we were promoting it. And like the old parts of me were like, oh wait, but what if people think whatever or they put me in these boxes? And I started giggling to myself and I said, well, this is what it's all about. Like I used to be able to like I love this and like Urania can attest like I feel at home when people are allowing me to share different perspectives and like I just can't wait to like share these parts of things whether you believe in star seeds or not. Like it's just looking at it whatever labels. I always say like some people, I have a very like religious background, so some people are like ETs, no, but they'll talk about angels. And I said, what if those angels and demons are actually the ETs? They just have a different name. And it just like this is the journey and this is how my mind works all the time of like you can look at anything through different lenses and why wouldn't we want to play? Why wouldn't we want to explore? Like for me, I want to give me all of the juicy things on all different sides, especially if somebody's passionate about it, then let me see what's there for me to bring home. Like I don't like anyone telling me this is how it has to be because like my inner rebel is like absolutely not. Don't put me in a box. Like I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And so you'll see as you get to know me all of the different tools that I have. It's not about defining you as absolute. It's about giving you guidelines and structures and a bubble to dance with to figure out how your flavor of expression is within that. So like when I talk about human design or gene keys, it's not that it's just one way to look at it. Like Urania and I have been talking about gene keys as well, and it's like we first see a word of it and we're like, "Oh no, I'm nothing like that." But then when we start playing with different sides, like that's
Yeah.
it opens
Yeah.
up and everything unfolds. And that's what I want to invite. So even if this conversation makes people uncomfortable, like, oh my gosh, what is that? I invite you to sit in that uncomfortability and see why. Because
Yeah.
there's some truth in here, whether however you want to label it, just see. Because I know some people that are very against whatever or like very resistant to star seeds, but when I share about the energy of the characteristics of the different star families, they're like, oh my gosh, that's 100% me.
Yeah.
But if I say star seed, they're like, oh no. But it's the same, like, you know what I mean? It's interesting. So it's interesting how our mind puts us in little compartments of safety. And I
Hmm.
want to remind people that we're safety starts with us. Like if we feel safe in the relationship inside, like we can take in information even if we don't agree with it. It can exist. We can hear and say, that's great for you. There's nothing wrong with that saying that's great for you. I love that that's your perspective. Right now it doesn't resonate with me and that's totally okay. And
Yeah.
you never know that you may say that to start with, and as you go along your journey, more things will be shown and to you, and you might start opening your mind and go, huh, maybe I was not 100% where I was, but I wasn't, my eyes weren't open enough. I wasn't in the space to see it from that angle in that exact moment. It's letting your story unfold.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely can relate. And I was also very happy, maybe a little bit surprised and excited when we started engaging about Starseed, just everything that you know. And for those of you watching, Jackie and I are part of our own little inner circle called the Most Sacred Hearts. And we share, videos and messages and all kinds of stuff, right? And so I had started sharing videos on extraterrestrials or just like little things because I mean we're it's a very close like family dynamic. So I knew this was a safe space, even if they were like, no, I knew that they get me. So, so yeah, Jackie was definitely, the one to private message me and was like, oh, okay, like I want to hear your perspective on this. And so that's how the exchange started. And for me, a lot of who watch me or follow me here on YouTube and so forth, that I have so many different I don't even like practices, modalities, interests that I connect with, that I share on. And Starseeds has always been there. Extraterrestrials has always been there, but it was something more of like that I did myself. Like I didn't really talk about it. And it wasn't like because I was ashamed or anything, but it was more so just there was a connection, but it wasn't really, I don't even know how to explain it. It was a curiosity, but I wasn't like, ooh, but I did feel connected to, of course, the stars and space and so forth, which, Urania Universe was my formal business name, and my formal education background is in astronomy and physics. And so there's always been a connection to the cosmos, the stars. And I've always been open to, other life being out there and ETs and so forth since a very young age. So it wasn't really anything like crazy. But I will also add to what Jackie said too. If you feel that, like generally we're kind of neutral, right? When we don't really have, like when there's not any like tension or anything there, like we're in a neutral space and we're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. But if you're just like, heck no, like I don't know about that, or there's like instant resistance, definitely get curious about that. Because I've had many times, not necessarily with this topic, but many times where I have been just kind of like, oh heck no. Honestly, even when we started doing the Gene Keys journey with Jackie, I wasn't an instant like no, but it was more like I was curious, but I was just like, another label, another this. But honestly, as I'm still on the journey. I wasn't gonna not do it because I committed to it and I was curious. But like as I approached it, especially with kind of almost no expectation, it's been incredibly helpful. And I'm excited when like we do the next, unlock the next thing. And so I've been really happy about that. Jackie, you add to this. I'm going to let my cat in because she's going to go crazy.
Yeah, well, and I think that that's what we were talking about is just being open-minded and allowing the things there and noticing, hey, if there is resistance, there's something there for me. It might be this is actually not in alignment with my truth, but it might be, hey, there's a part of me that is like afraid or something, like it's triggering, and I get to greet her with open arms and say, hey, let me hear your story. Like, let me see where you're coming from, and how did I bring it back home? Like, how can we find a peaceful way of doing this? Because, like, being at conflict all the time is not the goal, right? We want to
Yeah.
create this harmony. And even as you were saying, like star seeds has always been there, right? Like this cosmic energy, this galactic remembrance has always been like seeded through your life. But
Mhm.
I don't want to speak for you, but from what I see, you're a lot like me, where we play with modalities. Same with me. Like I have a laundry list of different modalities that I've studied and trained in and I play with. But it's like I want to embody them before I bring them out. Like I want to know all the nooks and crannies and have a deeper inner and understanding. Like I want to hold it all so then I can be the wisdom keeper and share from experience, not just textbook concept
Mm.
aspects.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
feel like that is what's coming through for you is now that you've
Yeah.
activated and you're starting to actually play and see it in your life too. You're
Yeah.
like, yup, like this is exactly the pieces that I've been ready for. It was just like it's building. I always say it's not a delay. Like, because people look at me and they're like, well, you have 10 years college education. Like, you went through all of these nursing school and you did pre-med before that. Like, why are you working for yourself now? Like, wouldn't you be happier? Like, no, like I'm exactly where you're, and none of that was a waste of time. You know what I mean? Like, all
Yeah.
of it gave me my skills, my foundation, my different perspectives where I can bridge modern medicine with ancient wisdom. I can bridge the science with the woo. I can get super spiritual and super mystic. Like I have all these different pieces of the puzzle. And when Urania, like I want to share my perspective is because as soon as she says that, because I in my past, and I think it's also the integrating, like star seeds and things, like it's a hit or miss. There's people
Mhm.
that are like, whoop, nope.
Yeah.
And so I realize when I share about that or I open those parts of me, I have to feel safe. That was my old pattern. Like if I don't feel safe, like I'm going to be received or it's going to land, I don't want to waste the energy. Like that's the thought. Like it's not that it's a waste, but you know what I mean? I don't want to my core intention when I share is to add value, not add noise, not pressure force, lovingly invite you into a stretching moment to see something from a different perspective, but it's never my intention for you to think like I do. It's to try
Mhm.
things on, get curious. And so and Urania could probably say, like, when she shared that, she had no clue my background, none until now. Um,
Yeah.
where she said that, and I was like, oh, what do you see? Like, how do you? I wanted to feel her out of like where she was at with the starseed stuff because at first when we talk, she was into astrology, and I didn't know like she liked the ETs and things like that, but I didn't know like how far down the rabbit hole, so to say.
I
Like,
was
oh,
at
how
that point,
deep
I
can
was
I
deep.
talk about this?
Yeah. So this is all amazing. So yeah, I want to let's bring it to this main topic because I want to share about how remembering our galactic origins, like exploring this curiosity has really helped us to feel very connected to Earth or being a human and also connecting us even deeper with our soul's purpose, specifically, you know, here on this in this lifetime, or at least on Earth with the many lifetimes we've had. So I want both of us to share just briefly, you know, we're going to share our introduction or our stories kind of like this coming to a feeling or a sense of belonging. Also, for those of you watching live, feel free to say hello in the chat. Mary's here, as always, supporting us. Mary is in the inner circle. So, of course, she would be here. So, thank you so much, Mary, for being here. Um, yeah, so definitely feel free to share with us your thoughts on starseeds. You know, do you feel excited and curious about it? Do you have a lot of, you know, understanding or perspective on it? Or is this something you're kind of like, I don't know. Feel free to leave it in the chat. And, you know, of course, all perspectives are welcome. So I'll share first as far as kind of how I like this remembering, like this deep remembering has really recently really grounded me to being a human and just being feeling connected even more deeply than I had before. And so I was telling Jackie essentially that I would say the past 3 years, I have been feeling a little bit disconnected, or not a little bit, a lot, but I was in denial, disconnected from my, you could say my role or my practice of being an astrologer in the way that I do astrology. And I would say more specifically, in the way that I share astrology, like doing my cosmic climate. So the main primary, I guess you could say, content here on my channel was the cosmic climate, which was a weekly forecast. And I was like consistent with it, on point, and it was fun. And then it just got to a point where it felt like a drag. And, you know, I just, like, over time, there were other things going on in my life where I had these, you know, quote unquote, big goals and things weren't manifesting. And I just felt so blocked. And in that span of time, I also started going into dreams, right? And so that started to open up. And for a very long time, dream work was untouchable because there was grief there and there was things I didn't want to see or deal with. And so I just naturally started going into dreams. And I'll say also, for those of you who don't know, I've been practicing and studying astrology, spirituality, tarot and all of that since 2005. And then I didn't start really doing it professionally until like 2016. And so, 3 years, like I've been doing it for a while, right? So I was getting burnt out. And then I started just feeling disconnected to the sharing. Like I was still doing the practices and I was still doing things for myself. But when it came to sharing, like on social media or anything, like doing private readings still lit me up, but sharing and connecting, I just felt like very disconnected and very bored with the repetitiveness of like astrological transits and predictions and so forth, which I've talked about on the channel. And so I started recently working for an app and doing as a spiritual advisor, and they have different like categories that people on the app lean to, like witch power or witchcraft or starseed. Of course starseed was one of them, and I was like, seeing the word starseed, I was like, and then I was, they give you like trainings on just like information about how they determine, how people choose and whatnot. And they were saying like, oh, are you feeling lost, misunderstood? Like you don't belong here. And I'm answering it like, yes, yes. Like I feel this. And then I don't know, it kind of clicked. And this is when I was also changing my, like how I show up as far as like my business name. I was like, I feel so drawn to metaphysics. Like it's deeper and more expansive than just astrology. It's the nature of existence, which that's kind of what I was studying or leaning into in my formal education, which was like, I wanted to learn about quantum physics and black holes. And I like the theory of things like time travel and all of this, and so that, like, I'm getting goosebumps right now. And so that pulled me in. And so anyways, long story short, I've started having dreams. And I mean, I can go more into detail, but nonetheless, I had an amazing Akashic record reading with Jackie because, we had started engaging on this. And Jackie, I was telling her about my dreams and she offered to do the Akashic record reading. She was like, do you want to focus specifically on starseed? And at the same time, I was talking to another friend who has a very strong connection to Pleiadians and the Telos beings, the inner earth beings. And so she was kind of counseling me on how to create a connection. So I was already leaning into the extraterrestrials and making that contact even earlier this year, right? So long story short, Jackie gave me a beautiful, powerful Akashic record reading that completely activated me. I haven't been like this activated in a really long time. I was like, oh no, this is a real activation. Like I watched and do little meditative things. It's like, oh, this is the solstice activation. No, this was an activation because I mean, it was like, I'm not even just saying that because I love Jackie. I mean, seriously, the dreams and the synchronicities that followed was just incredible. And we just started to gain momentum together with how we shared. And I felt like, so much more connected to my purpose. Like everything opened up. I started really feeling connected to being a human. I was like, oh my gosh. And just reading different books and, having the dreams and meditations, I was like, no, I'm meant to be here. Like I'm literally meant to be here. So that's a little bit about my story. Like we'll go in deeper, but Jackie, let's hear how your belonging story as far
Yeah.
as like the starseed route.
Yeah. So I've always felt kind of like the misfit, so to say. Like I grew up as the good girl, the good
Mhm.
student, like all of these like things, right? I held on to all these expectations and I navigated life and I was like, am I like not from here? Like literally, like not even knowing this, like I would
Yeah.
always feel like, am I not from this family? Am I not from here? Like, why am I so different? Why do I look at the world so differently? Why do I operate? Like, why do people are like, you're way too loving? Like, I'm like, where does this come from? Like, why do I look at the world in these rose-colored glasses all the time? And that's not most people's like natural instinct. And like, and I think that that's the key to belonging. Like belonging is really based on the belief of I feel different. I don't know if I fit in. Like I should, and then like then the escapism comes. And that's what Urania and I talked about. Like when we share star seeds, we're not sharing this information for you to escape the world. Like we came here for a reason. And that's what we want to help activate and remember of like when you know some of these characteristics that are in our natural cosmic DNA, we're literally stardust, like that is part of the creation and the elements of what created Earth and us on it, right? And it's remembering some of these key characteristics that come through just like you know your blood ancestry or whatever, like your DNA that way. It's one of the same coin. Like that's how I realized. And so I've always had this open curiosity mind. I've always questioned, but not in a way to like, you're wrong, like challenge people, like that would be put on me as like, oh, you're a little rebellious thing. Can't you just have faith? Can't you just believe? Can't you just follow in line? And I've never been
Mhm.
fall in line. Even when I was the good girl, I would like be inside resisting every little thing, but I'm doing it because I have to check the box until I realized, hey, that's not how life is even supposed to be. Like it's okay to be me. And so when I it was kind of like little drips of like signs here, there, like my star family was talking to me in those things, like through a lot of my life. And then I got a connections with some people that were really into star seeds, and I discovered my own origins. And I actually took a certification called Soul Realignment, which also like talks about going into the Akashic records and pulling some of this information, and that's some of the background of that. But I do my whole different version. I don't follow somebody else. That's that side note, like that's anything. Like I practice all of these modalities, but it's not like the what is how do you word it? It's not like the textbook like
Mhm.
step one, whatever. Like it's like, okay, I have the framework now. How do I make it me? What is
Yep.
like, how do I
Mhm. Yeah, you
infuse
adapt it.
a
And that's a part of
yeah,
embodiment,
yeah,
like
that's
literally
exactly
the
it.
embodiment. Yeah.
I'm not here to copy somebody else. I'm not here to parrot
Yeah.
information. I'm here like, how does this reflect to me and how do I see it? And how can I have other people try it on and see and have them like I think that's why I love having these conversations and doing this type of work because it's not like you can speak firsthand. It's not me saying, Urania, this is you. And
Mhm.
like blah, 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 blah. No, it's like here's a little nugget, like what comes up for you as this before we like and then we start layering it.
Yeah.
And it's really this unfolding process. Because if we rush it too much, then it's like overwhelming, right? And so it's like remembering the overwhelm comes and it goes, it's okay. I can just be here. I can take in what I need. And then we can go to the next layer and it's naturally unfolding. It's not something we do. It just naturally happens when we come with an open heart, open mind, and get curious and play with it.
Mhm.
Um, so then when I found out like my origins, like I have Minnetonka. So for those that don't know, that is like a very utopic type world that I came from, which was harmony and unconditional love. Literally, one of the characteristics is they look at the world like through rose-colored glasses because they didn't have the contrast that this human world does, right? This earth world. And so then when I heard some of this information, I'm like, that's why I operate. And I thought I was so wrong, or there was something wrong with me, or why am I so different? Like I was starting to get some of these nuggets and going, okay, that makes sense. It's like, once again, it's unlocking the remembrance of that's why I operate the way I do. That's why I long for this home. But really, the journey is to remember the home is here. You can
Yeah.
destroy my outside world, you can do whatever you want, but as long as I'm home here, I belong. So I belong, like, that's one of my big mottos is like remembering that all of me belongs with me. And if I
Yeah.
can do that, then guess what? The world can belong to in their own way. And it's not about belonging in its own little like filing cabinet and you can't stray. It's ever evolving and ever shifting.
Mhm.
And as I learn and grow and evolve, my truths learn and evolve with me, right? My understanding and understanding of things can shift. And that's called life. That's the process of maturing and evolving and seeing things. It's not that I was wrong before that served me in that stage. And now I'm opening to different possibilities. But I
Mhm.
think it's like any tool. You can look through gene keys, human design, astrology, like whatever ways you're gonna find, like even psychology and biology. Like you can look and learn about yourself and all of these different beautiful tools that we have at our fingertips, right? And they're all saying different versions of a story. They're just looking at you as a human being from different angles. And that's why I said like you feel drawn to studying like the existence, right? Like how
Hmm.
everything, that's always how my mind was too, is like, why do we operate the way we do? That's why I was always drawn to psychology and the brain. Like,
Yeah.
what is the intentions? Why do we do what we do? How does the body function? Why does it create disease? Like that's why I did modern. I followed the modern medicine route because I wanted to help people truly understand their being. And I giggle because it's like that's honestly that was the core intention. And I'm doing that just on a different level in my own way. I'm bringing all of these pieces, all of these viewpoints. So it's literally like a 360, almost like more. I don't even know if you could like, you know what I mean? Like it's in, out, like above, below, all of the different directions of saying, hey, this is you. Let's look at you from all different angles and you decide what you want to dive into and what serves you. So it's remembering like that was the big takeaway. My belonging, it was like when I learned about these different characteristics, it like unlocked this, okay, that's why. And that's why I feel this call to do X, Y, and Z. That's why I want to, because that's the whole point of being a starseed and feeling like you don't belong. It doesn't mean that you don't actually belong here. What it is, it's a remembrance of saying, I actually do belong here, but I am here to live life differently.
I love that. Yeah, and so what was really interesting as far as, uncovering your galactic origins or those galactic families that you're connected to, what from my learnings and talking to others and even from my own uncovering through the Akashic record reading and other synchronicities and sources is that we basically have all, for the most part, we have like the major galactic families. We have an aspect of that in all of us, like from one way or another, somehow there's like a little bit in there, right? So I would say, and you can add to this or correct me if I'm wrong, the primary galactic families are the Lyrans, of course, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Orions. Did I say that? Syrians. What else would you add there that I'm missing?
Um,
The Draconians.
Arcturian, there's so many, to be
Yeah.
perfectly honest. There's so many. But like you were saying, it like there's Harry, I can't even say it, Hardarian, um, Andromeda, like there's so many
Oh yeah,
different
they
ones.
Andromedans.
But they all like why it is they're like these core frequencies. Like if you look at it from a galactic point of view, a cosmic point of view, like even like now I'm gonna get a little scientific, like the Big Bang Theory. And when we think about that part, right? Like when there was before there was everything, and they were talking about like we were one energetic source that split off into different things. So yes, we're gonna have like our own little flavors because it started here and then it trickles down into all these different pieces. But just like astrology, and you have your main core signs, your 12 signs, right? We're actually have all of them. Like they're
Mhm.
all part of
Yeah,
us.
very true.
But there's certain characteristics that are more prominent in this lifetime because the stars, the where they were aligned and things like that, and in their DNA, like there's reasoning why certain things come stronger. Just like how we look in the cosmic point of view is like you spent more lifetimes or even like more lifetimes, so it imprinted more, so you carry these galactic imprints. But sometimes it's not that you spent more lifetimes, it was just that lifetime was so impactful that you took in this information as your core truth, your essence, which left that imprint that you then carried into different things. Just like we try on different foods, we try different things. Like that's how we are as an essence, a soul. We want to grow, right? We want to grow, expand, and understand ourselves more. How do we do that unless we see the world from different perspectives and
Exactly.
different roles? And that's how I like there's so many different angles you could say. And I think that's one of like the gifts that we were talking about that. Like I think that's why I was introduced to all of these different things is because I can meet you where you're at because that's how it's meant to be. Like I can meet you where you're at and I can show you different aspects and I am only going to stretch you to the point where you want to be stretched. I will never overstretch you
Yeah.
and like create collapse. Like I will help you open your mind a little bit. And what I've experienced firsthand with my clients is like they can be very closed off to something and we'll get curious, like we create safety and we get curious of different things and like that's okay, that's a no-go area right now, that's fine. And then as the work progresses, like as our devotion together like nurtures, it's like, huh, I'm ready to open that scary closet now. Like,
Hmm.
let's just see what's there. I just want to get curious. Doesn't mean that I have to take it as truth. Let me just get curious and hear what you have to say. And then when you come with that open mind, you can go, oh, okay. Well, I still don't know. I have this programming that says this
Hmm.
could be devil's work or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? But now I
Yeah.
hear little bits and I can see it from a different angle. And how can I put that into my frame of reference, Jackie? Like, how can I relate that to my world? And I think that that's one of my gifts is bringing it into the humanness. We're
Hmm.
not here, we're divine essence in a human experience. We're not
Yes.
here to ascend and go back to divinity. We already are. Like that's an illusion. Like
Yeah.
we're
It's
here to
already, and it's like that concept too of already being, like, we're existing in the present moment and everything is happening at once. So we're exactly where we need to be.
Mm,
And there are these quote unquote other aspects of us or realities and so forth that are exactly where they need to be in this present moment in time. So just focusing on the being, which is again has helped me from that perspective really feel grounded and connected to being a human here, because like you mentioned before, where it's like not feeling like you belong, like I'm not a part of this world, or just like I feel, separate from everyone, or like different, and I'm the rebel. And for me, I'm just like, why are we creating this reality? Like, I know I came here to do what I'm doing and to share, but I'm like, I feel like nobody cares. Like we're in these different patterns. And so I like that feeling and perspective of just being in this present moment and connecting to who you are, where you are now. Like you say, your home is already with you. The divine essence is already here. There's nowhere to ascend to, right? It's more so probably even just going deeper and deeper and deeper within to connect even more and more with that divinity and to radiate that in your present moment and your present self and so forth. So it's almost like everything's coming to you and everything is like,
mhm.
one existing around you and reflecting and connecting with you while you're in this present moment and present energy. So I do, that resonates.
Yeah. Well, and it's to make a more present, a more full, a more rich, a more sensory experience, right? It's to give the quality of life in our things and stepping out of the systematic living like robot, right? Like and to put your free and fully expressed flavor into life and share your medicine. Everybody has soul medicine. And it's like if I'm so busy trying to do it somebody else's way, I'm really doing myself a disservice. It's like I can take those little nuggets, those little tools to let it ignite my fire and say, hey, this is where I see things and follow that intuition, follow those nudges to see. And that's how I see the galactic energies kind of showing just the same thing as um the past lives. I always say like, okay, there's some parts of my clientele are like, I don't believe in past lives. Okay, then look at your ancestry. Whether you
Mhm.
believe that you lived it yourself, the soul, or your ancestors, if that's easier to digest, digest where you're at. Don't try to eat the whole elephant if you're not ready. Like, you know what I mean? Like baby steps into opening different things. And that's what it is trying it on and seeing because as like if you're open and willing like we talked about I shared a little bit of like how my understanding and understanding of the galactic history and when you see that and you're like oh Lyran was destroyed right like Minnetonka was destroyed so like there's always this longing and this desire to go back to that harmonic type world and we discussed like but what is that like what is the golden age like I
Mhm.
don't want to be bored in this perfect whatever, but that is the human understanding where we can try on different flavors of, oh, there's a resistance there. Why is there resistance there? So what would be the ideal world? Let's start playing. Let's explore. Like that is my jam. It's like bringing your inner child back and just like life doesn't have to be absolutes. It's not black or white. Like there is so much different colored spectrums here that we can play with and we get to create our reality. Like my mantra is the soul leads, the body guides, the mind aligns with wherever we want, whatever frequency we put in. Like, and then the emotions flow and energy expands. Like, but it's that mind aligns piece of like, but to align, we need information, right? Like,
Mhm.
like my background is in medical, right? And especially nursing. Informed consent. true informed consent, you need to have the good, the bad, the ugly, right? You
Hmm.
need to have all the pieces so that I can make the most educated choice for me. And
Hmm.
so that's how I kind of function in my whole life is give me all the perspectives. I don't care how extreme they are. Let me try them on and see what clicks, feel the pull, see where the resistance is and why there's resistance and where's my truth in it and really play with it. But it's in the permission to have the curiosity and allow yourself to explore and play that all this unlocks. Because if we're so focused on this is the only way, we can't see the beauty around us.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think the information is gold, is really helpful, in the sense of, and I love what Bashar says. I talk about Bashar a lot because that's like my current teacher, so to speak. And he always says, like, I need to know what I need to know. I'll know it when I need to know it, not before, not after, right? Not a second before, not a second after. Which that saying just really lifted a lot of pressure from myself because even when it comes to memory, I'm like, I got to remember this. I got to remember this. And it's like, even prepping for, say, this conversation, we have our notes, but then we also talked about, oh, we're going to say what we need to say, like, whatever's meant to come out. Right. And we've had totally different conversations than our initial, intention. But nonetheless, um, it's really helped me because, especially with the starseed stuff, and I'll say I was really somewhat surprised, although I knew I had connections to Lyra, but I just didn't really understand the depth of it. And so when you did the reading for me and you were like, that was the first part. That was, which also a lot of us, as far as being a human, we more than likely have these, origins in Lyra, which Lyra is essentially like the birthplace of human consciousness. It was like that first realm where that's even the polarity or just the expression of what our human consciousness in a physical realm was experienced. And it did start out as far as like this utopian experience. And then, I'm sure we'll have talks about this, in future conversations, but then, they ended up having to flee, their star system, and some went to the Pleiades, some went to Orion, right? And then some went to Sirius, I
It
believe.
kind of all spread
Yeah,
everywhere.
because they all spread out. But as far as a human, the Lyrans definitely had a major, you could say, like seeding for humanity, or at least humans, as we know them. That
Humanoids.
is for, yeah,
With physical,
humanoids.
like a lot of these were energetic light body type things. They were not
Yeah,
in human physical dense bodies like
yeah,
Earth.
yeah. And so from what I'm learning, and actually this book here, Prism of Lyra, if you can see that, this is a really, really good book. And it goes through like pretty much the birthplace or just the beginnings of human consciousness on Lyra or in Lyra. And then it goes all the way basically to how humans were seated here. And it's just, I'm understanding now that how um basically Earth is a realm where, from my understanding from this and from other resources, it's a realm where we are like really coming to, I guess you could say, heal like all of these other experiences between what happened in Lyra and then Pleiadian roles and, specifically Orion and so forth. Like, we've come here to heal in some ways those experiences, those lines, those connections. And I now understand how like Earth School is so hard, especially with the forgetting and the knowing. And there's just so many layers of this that we can't get into now, but I definitely want to approach this because this book actually touches on also like the creation story from Genesis as far as Adam and Eve, and the way that she touched on this was just like incredible. And so, Jackie, I will want to have a
Oh yeah.
conversation about that. But basically, from my reading and also my own experiences, because when Jackie, did the reading as far as the Lyra and other connections, it was like a couple days after that I had a dream, and the only thing mainly I remember about the dream was Vega, like the word kept popping up. I remember like there was space, like it was kind of like dark space with like stars, and Vega just came through. And in their dream I remembered it was a star, And then when I woke up, I was like, okay, let me Google and see where Vega is. And when I Googled it, it was in the constellation of Lyra. And I was just blown away because I wouldn't even have thought to look there. And I didn't know Vega was one of the big Lyran, galactic families. And so that automatically I'm like, okay, there's my tie. And then Vega had connections to Sirius, which is another one of my galactic families. And just from the studies and looking more into these specific families and their origins and their experiences and what it said that they, had to, either with the Orion Wars and so forth, and ending up here on Earth and their connections and I guess you can say seeding of Earth, I just felt so grateful and honored to like, I'm here and I'm helping and I'm in my purpose. And I don't even know how to put it into words yet, but this just really activated me and really emboldened me to show up and express, what I'm excited about, what I'm passionate about, and connect and share and help others, remember their own origins. I mean, that's what's happening. I'm not even doing this professionally. I'm just here talking, on YouTube and sharing and how it'll unfold like organically, but I'm just really excited. So that in itself, like going through the different timelines, which I'm sure Jackie and I plan to have more talks, probably live, maybe some not live, but we're gonna share more on star seeds and purpose and remembering and like, yeah, the soul purpose. But
Just
going through this timeline has really just anchored me here. I'm like, no, I'm meant to be here. And this is a tough place in some ways, but it's, in some ways it's so much fun.
oh yeah. Well, it gives that contrast, like to really have life. This is what I always say, like a heartbeat is not a flat line. If it's a
Mm-hmm.
flat line, you're dead, right? Like regulation isn't meaning you're calm all the time. It's being able to regulate up and down. And that's how I believe this life is. It has the contrast, like we're going to dive into this in future reference, but just like the story of Adam and Eve and things like that, and the tree of good and evil, it is the duality.
Mm-hmm.
So some worlds, like our utopian aspects that were one side of the spectrum, we had to introduce the other side so we could have this dance and this polarity, which is not even like a one side, there's a spectrum in between, right? But it's to find the harmony within that is actually true harmony. When you don't have exposure to those things, how can you say that you are a regulated harmonic state when you don't have the strong poles on both sides?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so this, I'm definitely going to want to start to bring this full circle, but just coming back to this feeling of being misunderstood or like you don't belong here, and even considering our connections or just our feelings about starseeds and extraterrestrials, because 9 times out of 10, if you're watching this video, you've already seen on social media and probably other places of like ET contact and, that's coming or that's happening, or just there's a lot about this, what is it? Not disclaimer, but disclosure, even with like the government and the military and so forth. So this is becoming like louder and louder. And it's not a coincidence that we're here talking about this. And so my thoughts or where I come back to is, if you're having any fears or just feeling disconnected and so forth, ask yourself what belief is generating this feeling. Right. And that, like, we touched on that just a little bit when we talked about the strong resistance to it. Like, what's the belief there? And collectively, when it comes to extraterrestrials or even just seeking, you know, that connection with something that's spiritual or that's, otherworldly and so forth, like there's a taboo around it, or there's just like, oh, it can hurt us, or, I came across a scientific paper about AI, or no, about Three Eye Atlas. And the person was like, oh, if it is extraterrestrial technology, then it could be dire for humanity. And it's like, I mean, yeah, that's one possible
One
possibility,
point.
but like, like when you see it in media, it keeps echoing the same narrative, right? And so when it comes to that resistance or any fear around this or approaching, this topic and learning about your own galactic origins or just getting curious, like sit with your belief of why am I feeling this way? Why am I resisting? Even if you're feeling excited too, like, okay, what belief is generating this feeling? And then going deep with that. And so I think that in itself will help us to kind of get an idea of how we define things, and our beliefs around it. And that gives us an opportunity to, kind of take our power back in a way and begin to change and explore how we approach it or our beliefs around this specific topic. And then once you do that, there's so much more that will absolutely open up for you.
And that's the key to inner belonging. So as within, so without. So when we start getting curious and we allow the emotions to guide us and see what those trigger points are, we can bring them back home into wholeness. Like I feel like that's the whole point of this life
Mm-hmm.
at all different spaces is that sacred union with galactic and human, with masculine and feminine, with all of the different bridges, spirituality and science. Like they're all, the more you go down the rabbit hole, so to say, the more you realize that they're all intertwined. They're
Mm-hmm.
not separate pieces. It's just we have this innate fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
So it's getting uncomfortable with the unknown and allowing ourselves to get curious. Doesn't mean we have to say it is truth. Play. That's why I say the mind, you have to remind the mind because it's so logical. Like we're just playing here. We're role playing. We're trying this on. This is not our truth. Calm down. Put the defenses down. And let's just play house like a kid. Okay, this is the role I'm stepping into. What does it feel like? Oh, okay. What qualities does this that I can integrate this into my life? If this was true, doesn't have to be true, but if it was true, how could this serve me? And start from there. Like it does not have to be all or nothing. You don't have to jump in the deep end and be like, this is no, baby steps.
It's the extremes and finding that place in the center, which also just brought me back. I'm thinking about our conversation about the golden age, and I did like a short video about it if we would ever find peace on earth or experience that. And when I was having this conversation with Jackie, I love how Jackie mentioned that, it's like, well, how are we basically defining, the golden age or peace on earth? Because I admitted that. I mean, I would be happy for my perspective, my definition, where it's just like, oh, is everything love and light? But then I was like, that would get kind of boring. And that was a very interesting or significant point where it's like being here on earth, that's kind of the point of this experience, is having the duality, or like you could say the challenges, and being able to navigate that and explore and step
Awesome.
into new territory. And yes, you expand, you blossom, and you come into a deeper sense of, your own divinity and your own purpose and your own self. And so again, paying attention to our beliefs and how we define things, and once we start to shift that and get curious, then so much will unlock for us.
100%. And remembering we're the author of our own story. So that's why we're looking at the beliefs. We're looking at the narrative scripts that we were writing or have writing or our past has written for us and deciding we're holding the pen. Our ancestors used to hold the pen. They had their turn. This is my turn. My past lifetimes, I held the pen in that story, but now I'm in a different space. How do I want to write the chapter?
Absolutely.
History is his story. So what is going to be my story? Bring
Mm,
back the power to me. What is my story? And I am ever unfolding that story. And that's at the end of the day, that's what it is remembering that we have our power. We have that space and it's not a power to conquer. And I think that that's also why there's a duality, right? I
mm,
always say with great power comes great responsibility, like Spider-Man, right? So
mhm.
we forget so we can remember how to embody and wield our gifts and our power with love, with grace, with compassion,
Mm, mhm.
intention. So we don't get swayed or manipulated in different ways that our past, human, non-human, all repeat the same type of narrative pattern, right? Of the
Yeah.
abuse of power and control and all of these things to be able to integrate that. And this is a whole nother side that we can go into is love and light. Well,
Mm,
everything is actually based on love. Even the most malicious things like anger. Like, and that's not that that's malicious, but that's what pops in, like anger. Anger is actually, I love myself so much that there's a boundary crossed and now I'm going to come in and I'm going to vocalize it. It's
mhm.
still expression of love.
Yeah.
And so it's looking at it from different angles. And when you do that, like light bulbs click and going, oh, okay, I just expanded my reality as I knew it. Like foundations are kind of shifting and I get to now, I have the pen. Do I stay on this? And that's okay if it's my life. If I want to stay in the narrative that I am, then that's fine. I continue. But I got a pause moment. Let me try that on. There might be something there. Maybe I want to see what this wants to come here. Maybe I'm not even ready to change the story per se, but I'm still going to sit with it. Or maybe goes, okay, yep, I see that perspective, but that's not the narrative I want to write right now. Okay, awesome. Thank you for the input. I can let it go. Now I'm learning how to surrender and release. Both sides serve us.
Mm, I love that. Oh, this is such a great conversation, and we are definitely going to be doing this regularly. So stay tuned for the details on this. But in the meantime, Jackie, where can people find you and
Yeah,
connect with
so I am on Instagram a lot of the time, Grow with Jackie B. Otherwise, growwithjackieb.com is my website. I also have a podcast, which Urania has been on as well. It's a Free and Fully Expressed podcast.
you? Cool.
And
And
I
I
also
will put the
have
link
a
to that.
YouTube as well, which the podcast goes in. Same thing, free and
Yeah,
fully expressed.
I'll put that all of that in the description of this video. And yeah, let us know your perspective, what you think. Thank you, Mary, for all your wonderful comments and updates in the chat. And yeah, I feel really good with this. I'm so excited. I have so many ideas of conversations and topics. And Jackie and I have some exciting things to share coming 2026 that we're going to be doing together. But right now, that's going to be hush hush for now. We'll make an official announcement here soon. But happy solstice, everyone. And we will be chatting with you all very, very soon.